Hey, what's going on? It's Jason from TrilliumWest here for part 3 of the TrilliumWest Quarterly Report review. Again, how do we find it? We go over to TrilliumWest.com, go to the Knowledge tab, Market Data and Analysis, download the Q4 report. Super easy. Gotta love that. Now, today we are diving into Kitchener-Waterloo. This is where I spend most of my time looking around. And usually, honestly, this report came out. This is the first page I flipped to. I find it's so insightful, such a good, concise grip on what is going on in any area, Kitchener-Waterloo in particular, for this one. And it gives you the crash course on some numbers, some highlights. Love to see it. Remember, this is a part of a 4-part series. I started off going over Cambridge, then we hit Guelph, now we're at Kitchener-Waterloo. After this, I'm going to do a little bit chatting about the townships as well. And there's a lot more to this report than what I'm diving into here. Note that I'm just looking at the summary page for all of Kitchener-Waterloo. It does also break down into West Waterloo, East Waterloo, Uptown, Downtown, West Kitchener, East Kitchener. Keeps it interesting, gives you a lot more detail if you want to dive into the neighborhood that's most relevant to you. And part of what I'm going to be chatting about here at the bottom of the page are going to be some quick reviews that may also direct and pique your interest to ones you might want to look at. So go to TrilliumWest.com and download this, or if you're watching it on YouTube, I'll link down to the report directly. You can take a look at that on YouTube. So Kitchener-Waterloo, baby, my home right now, and it has been an exciting one. I think this paragraph here sums it up pretty well. As the pandemic has worn on, motorcades of GTA dwellers continue to venture down the 401 in search of more affordable detached housing. It has been wild in the detached space. We are seeing a lot of demand across all neighborhoods, and it has been tough. Like, it's been tough. If you're a buyer out there, and Q4 started out in the fall was one thing, but by the time we hit December, things really choked up on us. And as we've seen 2020 roll on here, it's kind of continued, and that is alluded to here as well. 2021, going to see anything change? Probably not. It is going to be there's a very strong likelihood that we're going to be continuing this trajectory that we've taken already in KW for the foreseeable future. And as 2021 has started off, we have seen several properties, 40, 50 offers on them. And that bottleneck is just being continued by the new listing ratio here is a great example. Now, for December itself in KW, the ratio was actually around 1.25. But if you look at it over the entire quarter, 1.07. That means that for every property that was listed, one and a little bit are selling. So anything that's hitting the market, getting eaten right up. Getting eaten right up. And so that makes for a very strong seller's market. A big part of what we're seeing in terms of these motorcades of GTA dwellers coming out, first-time buyers trying to get into the market, or investors trying to really make a name for themselves after years and years of this double-digit growth that we've seen in Kitchener-Waterloo. We're seeing a lot of people try to purchase in Kitchener-Waterloo and not contribute supply back. These aren't people who are buying and upsizing so that they can sell their starter home. We're seeing a lot of people either move into the city to buy something and not contribute. They're going to have investors looking out this way to buy something and not offer something back to the market. And first-time buyers are the same thing. And supply just is not keeping up. We're seeing that in so many ways. Overall, we're up 17.8% in terms of median detached price. Pretty solid numbers here. And what you'll find with Kitchener-Waterloo in particular, when you go and dive into the deeper neighborhoods or the breakouts, I should say, is you'll find that some are definitely higher than others. One of the very interesting ones that I want to highlight here is a decline in downtown Kitchener median sale price. Very interesting. That's a number I did not expect to see here. We've seen, for a number of reasons, I think people are really looking for that green space, a little bit more of a yard, a little bit more property, maybe a little bit less headache, I think is a common trend that I've seen, especially with folks coming from the GTA or coming from a condo, let's say. They might be looking more at a newer build. Maybe they're stepping into owning a detached home for the first time. You don't want to deal with the headache of some of these downtown homes that are 80 years old, 100 years old. It's a lot to chew. And when you're looking at numbers like this, a 4% decrease in median sale price, that's where I'm looking. Q1, that's absolutely where I'm looking. Now, one of the interesting ones that I saw, and it's a bit of a split, it's a two-parter here, is over here, we are seeing a 25, let me just get this on the page here, a 25% year-over-year growth in East Waterloo, $123,000 in 1 year. And I love that they broke this down, 10.25K a month, $337 a day. You know what? Go and get that Starbucks. You've earned it. The 25% increase in East Waterloo is a very astounding number, but it makes sense in a lot of ways. East Waterloo has checked a lot of boxes for a lot of people for a long time. It's a nice area, good schools. It's on the east side of the city. As I highlighted in the Guelph conversation that I had in my last video, things roll. They roll east to west in Waterloo, and they will in London, and they will in Woodstock. It's always what's the quickest way to get to the more easterly cities. That's what we've been seeing over the last couple of years. So a 25% spike in East Waterloo doesn't surprise me very much. What I find hilarious is that this is also the same area that is currently offering a 2% decrease in list price. So that goes to show you what we're dealing with in terms of the games that realtors are really playing right now in terms of sale price. Realtors and sellers. This list low and let the competition kind of run away with things has proven time and time again to be one of the better approaches and marketing strategies that sellers can use to get the best bang for their buck in the quickest amount of time and not have to accommodate conditions or flexibility on their closing dates or anything like that. This list price low, let it go with the demand that's out there, is really being played up in East Waterloo. And I do think that this is exacerbated a little bit just by the unprecedented demand. This all came on very, very quickly last quarter, a 25% increase. I don't think a lot of people were expecting it to hit right when it did. But as we saw in my last Guelph video as well, West Guelph going up through the roof. So where are people going to go? Where's the next stop? East Waterloo. So it makes sense that it happened now. I just find it very funny that this highlight of a decrease in East Waterloo prices also is happening in the area with the most growth. So I find that very, very interesting. Now, what we're seeing here in terms of West Kitchener now is a quarter-over-quarter drop. So from the summer to the winter here, the fall, the drop in new inventory was almost 40%. So we're seeing a lot of people who are looking at the west side of the city are competing very, very heavily to get into those areas that are by the boardwalk and whatnot, or have close access to the Fisher Hallman or Trustler areas, or down by the Sunrise Center and whatnot. So it's a very competitive time in Kitchener-Waterloo right now. That 1.7, I wasn't even highlighting some of these, but here's where I was highlighting the East Waterloo sale price, the decrease in East Waterloo median price, and the almost 40% drop in West Kitchener inventory. So there's a lot of interesting stuff here in the quarterly report when it comes to Kitchener-Waterloo. I know a lot of the folks that I'm working with right now are looking in Kitchener-Waterloo and trying to find affordable options. And honestly, some of them are looking at some of these prices and seeing the 17% increase and are even starting to consider things like New Hamburg, Stratford, going a little bit west now. And it's just that wave keeps on rolling, keeps on rolling. So check out the quarterly report when you get a chance. You feel free to do a deep dive into your catchment area here for the report. It's a really, really detailed and it's well explained and articulated data that people need to see right now. So stay tuned for my next video. We're going to go over the townships. They're always their own beast in a way, but appreciate you tuning into this. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon.